At midnight, she revealed an incredible truth, transforming their lives forever in just 24 hours. The midnight shift had dragged on like the last remnants of a winter chill. As Sarah trudged home, the echoes of the hospital's beeping machines faded into a dull throb in her mind. The weary weight of responsibilities clung to her, her aging parents, so dependent, and her teenage daughter Alex, a beacon of potential she couldn't help but feel she was stifling each day. With every step up the creaky porch stairs of their old house, it felt as if the structure itself was sighing under the bearing of her unsung dreams. Tired of an existence kept on hold, she pushed the door open and paused. Was it the silence that worried her, or the daunting shadow of her own unfulfilled aspirations? Eyeing the attic door, Sarah felt a strange beckoning. It had been years since she'd ventured up there, but a ghost of curiosity flickered within her. As she clawed through the cobwebs, the discovery of a forgotten box stirred a long-buried excitement in her heart. Dust clung to the surface like memories stuck in the corners of her mind. Inside, her mother's journals lay as if they were waiting for her, pages filled with dreams of a world long gone, their family bakery. Each word danced before her eyes, revealing tales of love, laughter, and loss, all obscured by the shadows of economic collapse and familial rifts. With every page turned, a burning desire ignited in Sarah, the possibility of reclaiming that legacy, to breathe life back into the rich culinary talent and sacrifices her family had made. But with this blossoming ambition came a wave of skepticism. What if her dreams were hardly more than ghosts of the past? She could almost hear her family echo doubts. She was a nurse, a caretaker, nothing beyond that. The town, once familiar, felt alien. Could it really embrace the revival of something as bold as a bakery? The balancing act began to feel like walking a tightrope, her duties in nursing on one side and a buried passion on the other, pulling her apart. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just when she thought hope surged within her, an unsettling offer appeared. A partnership with Nathan, the rival bakery owner, who had contributed to the once thriving family business's demise. His proposal was tantalizing, a path to rediscover the glory of the past. But could she trust a man tied to her family's misfortunes? Anxiety knotted in her stomach as her pulse quickened. What if this path led to the same downward spiral? Days turned into a whirlwind as pressure swirled around her, her clock ticking ominously. Each heartbeat echoed doubt, holding her captive within the confines of fear and ambition. Could she confront the demons of her family's history while holding on to her obligations? The weight of her mother's unfulfilled dreams hung heavy, and Sarah recognized that sometimes legacies come with burdens too great to bear. Then, as those tangled thoughts clutched her heart, a knock on the door shattered her spiraling thoughts. A ghost from her past awaited her on the other side, presenting not just an opportunity, but a moral reckoning that could alter everything she knew. Would she find the courage to follow a path that might save her family, or doom them to repeat their past? The door creaked open slowly, revealing Nathan's familiar silhouette framed by the dim light of the porch. The weight of her past loomed heavily as their eyes met. He stood there, a blend of mischief and earnestness that stirred emotions Sarah thought she had buried. The air thickened with tension, an unspoken understanding that both repelled and drew her in. "Sarah," he began, his voice steady yet laced with urgency, "we need to talk." She could feel the ghosts of their shared history pressing against her, testing her resolve. This was no longer just a business proposal, it was a reckoning. As she motioned for him to enter, she braced herself for the flood of memories that threatened to overwhelm her. They settled at the kitchen table, the worn servants bearing witness to countless family meals, laughter, and arguments. But the ambiance felt foreign now, tainted by nostalgia and betrayal. Nathan launched into his pitch, listing the potential profits, the community interest in local businesses, a rebirth of the bakery that once thrived. His enthusiasm was palpable, but behind it, Sarah noticed a glimmer of desperation, perhaps stemming from his own failure to find a footing in the competitive industry. Part of her wanted to reject him outright, yet the thought of fulfilling her mother's legacy, of pouring love into flour and sugar, ignited a flicker of hope. "Why should I trust you?" Her voice trembled, a blend of defiance and uncertainty.
Memories of Nathan's past dealings, the bitter taste of competition, the way he had thrived at her family's expense, flooded her mind like a cued nightmare. "I'm not asking for blind trust," he replied, his eyes steady. "I'm looking for a partnership, a chance for both of us to do something good. Your family's bakery was loved, Sarah. The town misses it. We could bring it back together." His words danced dangerously close to her heart's desire, and with every syllable, her defenses began to waver. Could he truly change, or was this just a ruse to reclaim the territory he had lost? In the ensuing silence, Sarah's thoughts spiraled.
The dream of the bakery intertwined with fear, her fear of letting go of the safety of her nursing career, her deep-seated doubt about Nathan's intentions, and her responsibility as a daughter and mother. Would stepping into this unknown realm mean forsaking the stability she had fought to maintain? As if sensing her turmoil, Nathan leaned in, his tone softened. "This is your chance, Sarah, to create something meaningful, not just for you, but for Alex, for the community. You've got the talent. It's lurking beneath the surface, waiting to explode." Something within her stirred. A voice whispered that this might be the catalyst for her transformation, the moment she could hit the reset button on her life. But the risk was colossal. What if she failed? What if this led to more pain? A surge of determination coursed through her as she grappled with the juxtaposition of freedom and obligation. She realized that accepting Nathan's offer could mean facing the very demons that had been haunting her family, a chance to forge a new narrative outside of the expectations that had long defined her.
Each mention of branding or demographic targeting yanked on Sarah's insecurities. The vision was big, too big, and thoughts of her nursing career surfaced, questions about whether she possessed the necessary skills to navigate this new terrain. "You know, I used to think I couldn't bake, couldn't create anything new," Sarah began, her breath catching in her throat as she spoke. She realized she was voicing fears she had never articulated before. But now, with all of this on the table, it feels like everything I didn't want to acknowledge is suddenly a part of me. It's terrifying. This vulnerability stunned both Nathan and Amelia into silence for a moment. Nathan, with his usual bravado, appeared contemplative, while Amelia listened with open interest. The skilled entrepreneur in her recognized Sarah's hidden potential, a chasm waiting for someone to leap across. "You've been a nurse, Sarah," Amelia said gently, yet firmly, "a profession that relies heavily on practice and intuition. Those are the same skills you would apply in a bakery. It's another form of care. You just need to tap into your creativity and trust yourself." What was she saying? A part of her wanted to lash out, to argue against the implications, but another part, a more essential part, yearned to believe her. Could she redefine herself, pivot from healing in scrubs to stirring batter in an apron? As Nathan shifted, he broke the tension. "What she means is, you don't have to do this alone. We're here. I wouldn't have proposed this to you if I didn't see something in you." Each word wound around her heart, both encouraging and suffocating. She had spent so many years feeling detached from her family's dreams, dismissing them as remnants of a life that no longer fit. Could she really step outside her designated lane as a caregiver and embrace creation? But that nagging doubt persisted. What if she failed? The fear of failing echoed louder than it had before, an omnipresent specter. "Look," Amelia started again, sensing Sarah's internal conflict. "The bakery could become more than just a business. It could heal you too. You're at a point where you can reclaim your narrative, throw off the shackles of expectation." Sarah clenched her fists beneath the table, surrounded by opposing forces, her yearning for personal growth and the suffocating fear of disappointment. She was on the precipice, teetering between the past and an uncertain future. Maybe I could try," she whispered, her heart racing. The tentative hope that sparked within her ignited in a moment of clarity. But before she could dwell on her decision, the door swung open again, a gust of cold air trailing in. This time it was a familiar figure, her son, Alex, clutching a textbook, his eyes wide with confusion. "Mama, are you coming to help with my project?" he asked, his youthful energy cutting through the heaviness of the room. Time stood still, as Sarah felt the weight of her dual roles crashing together.
She blinked, caught in a moment of overwhelming love and responsibility. How could she pursue her own dreams when hers had always been to be there for him? As she looked between Nathan, Amelia, and her son, the choices felt heavy, binding her to an unbreakable anchor of obligation. This was not just about her anymore. It was entwined with Alex's future. The tension electrified the room, and she realized that this wasn't merely a decision about business. It was about redefining her life, about carving out a space where her ambitions didn't have to cancel out her commitments. What awaited her as she prepared to answer her son and confront her aspirations felt transformative. Would she chart her course toward a future where passion coexisted with responsibility? The door had opened wide, but would she step through or retreat? In the heartbeat before her response, the question loomed large. Was it time for Sarah to finally embrace a new beginning? The air thickened with uncertainty as Sarah looked at Alex, his innocent eyes filled with expectation. The swirling emotions within her collided. A dream ignited by Amelia's bold ideas grappled with the reality of motherhood. Every fiber of her being whispered for her to break free, yet an overwhelming sense of obligation anchored her in place. "Mama?" Alex's voice was soft yet laced with urgency, his youthful need for support pulling at her heart. In that moment, Sarah felt like a pendulum, swinging between her past as a devoted mother and her yearning to discover a new self. Drawing in a deep breath, she let her mind wade through the implications of her response. If she said yes to Alex, she would step away from contemplating a dream that seemed just within her reach. But if she hesitated too long, would she lose more than an opportunity? Would she lose the chance to rewrite her own story? "It's okay, Alex," she said gently, a smile breaking through her internal struggle. "I'll help you in just a moment." As the words left her lips, she felt a bittersweet clarity settle within her, the clarity that sometimes love necessitates sacrifice. Yet a voice deep down questioned whether placing her ambitions on hold would only lead to resentment later. Each instance of her son calling out for her blended with fragments of her dreams, already stained with the disappointment she had often brushed aside. "Do you really want to help?" Amelia's question cut through Sarah's thoughts, and she turned to face the woman whose passion for the bakery remained untarnished. "Yes, I do," she affirmed, her voice clearer now, the weight lifting slightly from her shoulders. Confiding in Amelia summoned an unexpected courage. "I want to explore this bakery and what it could represent for me, but I also want to be there for Alex." Amelia nodded, a knowing smile breaking across her face. "Then let's make it work. You're not looking to abandon one for the other."
It's about merging your aspirations with your responsibilities. The idea morphed in Sarah's mind. Could she really forge a path that encompassed both her role as a nurturing mother and the bakery owner she craved to be? "Alex," she called gently, pulling him closer, "how would you feel about helping your mom out in the kitchen after school? We could work on recipes together." His face lit up with excitement. "Really? That would be awesome! We could make cupcakes for the bakery." The flicker of inspiration stirred within her, the lightness of joy mingling with determination. She realized this venture could become a bridge, allowing her to balance her desire for growth and her commitments to Alex. As the room filled with hopeful energy, Nathan chimed in, "That's a fantastic idea. We can create a unique menu that resonates with families and community. It'll be a project for all of us." Yet, in that spark of enthusiasm, a shadow of doubt lingered. Sarah couldn't ignore the reality that running a bakery would not only come with excitement, but also challenges. "What if I mess up?" she finally admitted, confronting the fear that shadowed her dreams. "What if I take this leap and fail?" "Failure isn't the end," Amelia replied, steadying her gaze on Sarah. "It's a part of the process. You've built resilience in your career as a nurse. Every day you've faced tough situations and grew from them. This is simply another opportunity for growth." The conversation shifted layers, revealing an empowering truth. Amidst the fear, Sarah caught glimpses of her hidden competencies, the ability to adapt, to create solutions, to care deeply. If she could channel those same skills anew, maybe she could foster a different kind of healing, one through creativity and connection. As the weight of her fears lightened, a burgeoning sense of excitement took its place. The path ahead felt uneven, yet Sarah sensed a newfound momentum propelling her forward. Yet even with this momentum, the memory of her past lingered, shadows of self-doubt ready to spring forth. As she gazed from her son to Nathan and Amelia, she understood they couldn't shield her from the uncertainty ahead. The day closed with the promise of possibility, yet behind it loomed questions that would require answers. Would she truly be able to balance these multifaceted roles? Suddenly, the prospect of turning her dreams into a tangible reality felt both electrifying and daunting. As Sarah mulled over the coming days, a singular thought crystallized. The moment of testing had arrived. How would she navigate the crisscross of her ambitions with her familial responsibilities? The bakery venture was just the beginning, but would it nurture her or demand too much of her heart? The answers beckoned from the future,
tantalizing yet laden with uncertainty. And as Sarah prepared to take the first step, the biggest question loomed. What sacrifices would she have to face to make her new dream soar?
In the following days, Sarah found herself caught in a whirlwind of preparation, both internally and externally. Each morning as she sipped her coffee, a blend of excitement and trepidation coursed through her. The prospect of sharing creative moments with Alex in the kitchen fueled her ambition, but the shadows of self-doubt crept closer. She decided to immerse herself fully in the bakery project, transforming her kitchen into a haven of experimentation. Flour dusted every surface, and the warm scent of vanilla wafted through the air. Yet, as she experimented with recipes, she felt a persistent gnawing in her stomach. The thrill of creativity was often punctuated with whispers of inadequacy. Each afternoon, Alex bounded into the kitchen, his energy infectious. Together, they dove into the world of cupcakes, mixing frosting shades that mirrored the colors of their imagination. Sarah reveled in these moments, discovering a side of herself that had grown dormant. However, as laughter filled the room, lingering anxieties lingered in the corners of her mind. What if this is just a fantasy? She would ask herself, slicing through the layers of her burgeoning aspirations. A part of her was terrified of failing, not just in the bakery, but in her dual role as a mother trying to craft stability for her son. One evening, after a particularly disastrous batch of cupcakes that had sunk in the oven, Sarah enlisted Nathan's help. She wanted to display her determination truly, but the shadows clung tightly. "Sarah," he had observed gently, his brow furrowed in thought, "you fought through tougher challenges in nursing. Each patient you cared for taught you resilience. Why should this be any different?" His words reverberated within her, forcing Sarah to confront the very core of her apprehensions. Could she afford to falter, to allow the fear of failure to dismantle her resolve? As she grappled with this, she realized that her hesitations were the very chains that kept her from soaring. "Maybe I need to internalize that nurturing spirit in a different context," she pondered, watching Alex carefully decorate his cupcake with colorful sprinkles. He was a living reminder of love's unyielding power. What if I succeed not just for me, but for us? The thought provided a spark. It ignited a desire to embrace this venture with the same passion she had for nursing. Perhaps this journey wasn't just about the bakery, but about creating a legacy of courage and creativity for Alex. However, that evening, despite the spark of inspiration, reality struck. An email from the leasing agent appeared in her inbox, outlining the financial contours of opening the bakery. Suddenly, the abstract fantasy of her dreams collided violently with the practical demands dictated by fiscal responsibility. "What have I gotten myself into?" she whispered. Reading the figures, they saw a mountain, not a small hill to overcome.
Would the risk of a financial plunge fracture her family's stability? The idea made her stomach churn, as if the cupcakes had sprung back up inside her. Feeling the despair loom, Sarah closed her laptop, the coolness of the metal reminding her of her overwhelming sense of vulnerability. It had always been simpler to take care of others than to learn how to heal herself. But amidst the doubt, a distinct resolve began to emerge. She would no longer allow fear to bury her talents under layers of obligation. It was time to ask for advice and gather knowledge, to fortify her approach with a plan rooted in reality. The next morning, Sarah set out to seek mentors, reaching out to those who had successfully navigated these waters before. No more retreat into the shadows. She needed to embrace the challenge head-on. As she stepped outside, ready to face the world beyond her kitchen, a profound realization set in. She could build a bakery that echoed her story. Empowered by self-awareness and moments of vulnerability, Sarah sensed that the ties binding her to fear were loosening. Yet the shadows still loomed larger. Would she find the right guidance in time? And how would she reconcile the demands of the bakery, her son, and her own aspirations? As she confronted the branches of her inquiry, Sarah understood that while she was stepping into the light, the path ahead remained littered with uncertainties, and each decision would be crucial for her evolution. The next few days would test her resolve, pushing her to confront not only her aspirations, but the very heart of her fears. The question arose: how much was she willing to risk to unveil the truth of her capabilities? The next morning, as sunlight spilled into her kitchen, Sarah felt a flicker of renewed determination.
With a cup of coffee warming her hands, she set a plan in motion, determined to turn her dreams into something tangible. Today wouldn't just be another day of baking, it would mark the start of a more strategic approach to her aspirations. She began by researching local bakeries that thrived in her area, seeking not only inspiration, but also practical advice. The internet became her canvas, filled with tutorials and entrepreneurs sharing their journeys. Each story resonated deeply, fueling her resolve. She scribbled notes in her ever-present notepad, tracking down tips on cost management and effective marketing strategies. Sarah learned about food costs, margins, and the importance of establishing solid relationships with suppliers. She imagined how each ingredient, every dollar spent, would translate into memories crafted in their kitchen. What began as a daunting task now morphed into a thrilling puzzle waiting to be pieced together. The fear of overwhelming inadequacy began to simmer down as she recognized the power of knowledge. Later in the afternoon, she attended a local business workshop.
The conference room buzzed with energy from aspiring entrepreneurs eager to share their dreams. Sarah's heart raced, both from anxiety and excitement. Participants spoke candidly about their struggles and successes, each narrative revealing a universal truth. Ambition often danced hand in hand with fear, yet it was the knowledge gained through experience that turned those fears into stepping stones for growth. During a breakout session, Sarah seized the chance to network. Striking up conversations, she discovered two established bakery owners who were more than willing to share their insights. As they discussed budgets and customer engagement, Sarah absorbed every word, her notepad filling with guidance that felt like treasure maps toward uncharted territory. With each quote scribbled down, her confidence swelled. When one owner suggested collaborating on a small community event to showcase their goods, the idea sparked a light in Sarah. An opportunity to connect with customers personally and test her creations without risking too much financially was a step she hadn't considered. It felt right, a test run that could help refine her products and identity as a baker. "Consider this your practice round," the bakery owner had encouraged, her tone warm but pragmatic. "You may discover faster than you expect what resonates with the community." Walking home that evening, Sarah felt the weight of uncertainty shift slightly off her shoulders. Her brainstorming sessions with Alex became vibrant, filled with ideas about flavors, decorations, and themes for their eventual event. With laughter and creativity bouncing between them, it was as if their kitchen was a miniature world, vibrant with potential. But beneath the surface pleasure of planning, a shadow loomed. Financial realities hung heavier in her mind. Could the funds reserved for their modest living actually stretch to cover initial supplies for this testing phase? Would this investment pay off, or would it trap her deeper in a financial quagmire? The possibilities turned her excitement into a tight knot in her stomach. That night, as Sarah lay awake, the flickering dreams of her bakery danced wildly across her mind. Yet the financial constraints remained just out of reach, like a distant star. What if the kindling of enthusiasm she felt today could turn to ash tomorrow? Determined not to let worry cloud her newfound clarity, she resolved to create a detailed budget by morning, assessing every line item with meticulous care. She sensed that each decision taken in this stage would be pivotal, nudging her closer to or further from her ultimate goal. And as dawn approached, tinged with hues of orange and lavender, Sarah couldn't help but feel that this journey towards her bakery was a test not only of skill, but of her belief in herself. The potential for growth was enormous. She could feel it radiating from her fingertips. But how would she secure the funds necessary to take the first step?
With these thoughts swirling, Sarah couldn't shake the growing idea that her next move needed to be bold and decisive. The looming challenges beckoned her forward. It was time to transform that energy into action. As she made plans for the day, the questions skittered across her mind. Was she ready to dive into the unknown, risking everything for a chance to build her bakery dream? And what revelations awaited her on the other side? As sunlight broke through her kitchen window the next morning, Sarah took a deep breath and focused on the task at hand. With her newly crafted budget before her, she scrutinized each number, each expense painstakingly calculated. She felt the weight of her decisions. These figures represented not just costs, but potential, hopes tied to cupcakes and loaves of artisanal bread. While Alex was sipping his morning coffee, Sarah pointed to her budget sheet. "Look at this. I want your insights." She carefully outlined her supplies, projected sales, and estimated profit margins, her fervor growing with each explanation. Alex leaned in, furrowing his brow. He had always been cautious about expenditures. "Are you sure you want to allocate so much towards the event? What if it doesn't go as planned?" His skeptical questions cut through her excitement, but instead of retreating, a fire ignited within her.
What if it does go as planned? This is a chance to test our recipes, to build brand recognition. It's crucial. With each rebuttal, Sarah stripped her doubts bare, recognizing a latent confidence in her voice. She'd studied, researched, and now honed her knowledge into a weapon against uncertainty. Alex noticed, and it prompted him to reconsider. A few hours later, as they transitioned from financial discussions to practical applications, they began baking. The kitchen filled with flour-dusted air and the sweet aroma of vanilla and chocolate. Each whisk of the batter felt deliberate, a tangible representation of their ideals. Sarah wondered if this was how passion transformed into concrete reality, one determined stroke at a time. Yet, shadowing her excitement were thoughts of funding. The evening brought her back again to the financial strain. With the cost of supplies weighing heavily on her mind, she knew she had to find alternative funding. The thought of reaching out for help dug at her pride, but the responsibility of realizing her dreams forced her hand. That night, she sat on her bed, laptop illuminated by a soft glow, searching for local small business grants and competitions. The idea of applying for a grant filled her with equal parts enthusiasm and dread. What if she presented herself inadequately? What if she failed? Her fingers hesitated above the keyboard, a surge of doubt threatening to derail her. In the midst of her hesitation, she recalled the bakery owners she had met at the workshop. They had wielded their vulnerabilities like badges of courage, sharing their own stories of struggle and triumph.
Perhaps it was time to embrace that transparency herself. An email composed, she hit send on a message to one of the bakery owners, asking about the feasibility of a mentorship. The prospect of forging a connection, of allowing someone experienced to guide her, felt both terrifying and exhilarating. It articulated a commitment she hadn't fully embraced until that moment. The next day dawned, and with it came a response. The bakery owner agreed to meet, her encouragement conveyed through the screen. This was the spark in all Sarah's chaos, a chance not just to glean knowledge but to build a relationship. After the meeting, Sarah's confidence peaked, the interactions stirring a deeper understanding of her capabilities. She crafted a series of detailed questions, eager to learn the intricacies of running a bakery. Yet amidst her burgeoning determination, a deeper dilemma emerged. If she saw this through, achieving success, would it pull her away from her relationships with family and friends? What sacrifices would she inevitably face on this journey? As she stood before her mixing bowl, a fresh determination bubbled within her, fueled by both enthusiasm and the heaviness of impending sacrifice. Sarah wasn't merely contemplating the logistics anymore. She was at an intersection, balancing aspiration with potential loss. Each laughter-filled baking session with Alex meant a little less time spent with loved ones. Was she ready to trade the familiarity of comfort for the unpredictability of her ambitions? As they mixed the batter and rolled out dough, Sarah sensed a pivotal moment approaching, where she would need to stake all her dreams against the uncertainties of personal relationships. The evolving dilemma tightened inside her, creating palpable tension. Was her desire to success worth the risk of alienating those around her? With the oven timer ticking down, another question loomed. Which path would she choose to walk, knowing it could redefine everything? Sarah's hands trembled as she rolled out the dough, the weight of her choices pressing down like the unyielding mass on her countertop. Each push of the rolling pin felt like a measured step towards a precipice. The aroma of baked goods swirling round her, a sweet distraction from the gnawing uncertainty lurking in her mind. Could she maintain her cherished connections while pursuing her bakery dream? That evening, another wave of doubt washed over her. She had agreed to meet with the bakery owner who would mentor her, yet the enormity of that decision loomed larger with each passing hour. Would she genuinely be able to absorb all that knowledge, or was the thought of stepping into that world merely a fanciful escape from her current life? As she prepared for bed, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just professional growth. It was a personal renaissance, a rebirth of sorts. Yet amidst this excitement lay the biting fear of what she might have to sacrifice.
The phone chimed with a text from her sister, inviting her to their upcoming family gathering. Once, such invitations felt obligatory, but now they felt like chains binding her to a past life she was inching away from. "Will you be coming?" the message read. The question echoed in her mind as she settled on the edge of her bed, staring at the screen while a storm brewed within. If she chose to follow this tethering allure of entrepreneurship, how could she just drop her commitments, the moments shared over laughter and stories? They had supported her in quiet ways, held her when she felt uncertain, and now it felt reckless to abandon them for her own ambitions. The next morning, with resolve battling trepidation, she stood in front of the bathroom mirror, a woman staring back, teetering between two worlds. Setting her jaw, she decided she would go to the gathering, balancing both sides of her life, at least for now. This decision marked a pivotal moment. She would validate her relationships even amidst her growing ambitions. Later that afternoon, as Sarah set up for the family gathering, she interacted with her relatives,
all the while quietly cataloging their shared laughter and discussions. As the evening unfolded, she realized that her passion for baking could coexist with her love with family. She could invite them into her journey, perhaps even share her creations as an extension of her affection. The warmth of their company began to outweigh the earlier doubts about her time commitment. The subsequent week rolled forth, filled with endless baking sessions and discussions with her mentor. With each meeting, Sarah's knowledge grew, her confidence bolstered as she learned the nuances of business management. But even amidst newfound skills and enthusiasm, a disturbing realization emerged. Her mentor had shared stories of how success often demanded unyielding sacrifices, especially regarding personal connections. The bakery owner, once a nurturer of dreams, unveiled her own challenges with family relations, driving home the fact that pursuit could potentially alienate Sarah cherished most. The frankness of her mentor forced Sarah to reassess her own motivations. Was she straddling a dangerous line? Could her passion be a double-edged sword? Yes, it could uplift her, but could it also sever her support systems permanently in pursuit of greatness? As moments passed and decisions edged closer, Sarah stayed awake one evening, her mind racing. In the humdrum of relentless planning and production, something personal dawned within her, a compelling urge to share her journey openly with her family. They needed to understand her aspirations, the depths of her struggle. If she was going to sacrifice time and connection, she owed it to them to be transparent. The following day, Sarah composed another message, this time inviting her family to an informal tasting. She yearned for their input, their presence woven into her dream.
This would not only involve them, but also solidify her commitment to them while pursuing the bakery dream. Yet, as she clicked send, anticipation churned in her stomach. How would they react to the changes brewing in her life? A new tension hung in the air, the delicate balance between passion and personal obligations spiraling into an even more complex realm. The response could redefine how she approached everything going forward, both the bakery and her loved ones. As she awaited their reply, the specter of fear mingled with eagerness. This could be a decisive moment in her personal and professional life. Would they embrace her aspirations or question her resolve? Only time would unravel this next chapter. The anticipation clawed at Sarah's insides as she awaited her family's response to the tasting invitation. She felt as if she were a tightrope walker suspended between two worlds, balancing between her burgeoning dreams and the anchors of familial connections. Each passing hour was a test of her patience and resolve, a stark reminder of her desire for approval and comfort from those she held dear. The next day, her phone rang. It was her sister, Lily. "Hey, I got your invite," she said, her voice warm but curious. "Are you really doing this? A tasting?" The question hung between them. It felt like both an affirmation and a challenge. "I want to share it with you all," Sarah replied, her voice steady. "It's not just about the food. It's about including you in my journey." Lily fell silent for a moment, processing the weight of Sarah's words. "Okay, I'll come. Mom and Dad will too. They'll love it," she finally said. Relief washed over Sarah, mingling with a flicker of apprehension. "Just promise us it won't be all business. We want to support you, but we need to see the real you, Sarah." That simple request stirred something deep within her. Could she truly reveal the layers of her struggle? Was she prepared to address the complexities behind her new ambitions, her fears, her failures, and her hopes? The self-exploration this moment demanded was daunting. As the day of the tasting approached, Sarah prepared with meticulous care. Each batch of cookies, every slice of cake, was not merely a culinary effort. It was a tangible embodiment of her aspirations and the narrative she wished to construct. In the kitchen, she worked tirelessly, creating flavors that spoke to her soul and reflected her identity. Butter and sugar became her allies, and flour transformed into a canvas upon which she painted her vision. When the tasting evening finally arrived, the atmosphere in her small apartment buzzed with nervous energy. The sight of her family gathered around her kitchen table made her heart race. Their familiar laughter, however, blended with an undercurrent of scrutiny, fueling her inner conflict. She'd spoken about her aspirations, but had never fully unveiled the depths of her commitment to this path.
As she served her creations, Sarah studied her family's reactions with keen interest. Apprehension coiled in her chest. What if they didn't truly understand? What if they saw her efforts as frivolous? "Sarah, these are incredible," her father said, beaming as he took a bite of a chocolate croissant. Her mother nodded in agreement, eyes sparkling. The approval from her family buoyed her spirits, yet a nagging doubt lingered. Was this enough? Halfway through the tasting, Sarah felt a shift within her. She realized she could no longer keep her aspirations hidden beneath a facade of confidence. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of honesty pressing against her chest.
"I need to share something important," she started, her voice trembling ever so slightly. "Being here with you tonight means the world to me, but I want you to understand that this journey isn't just about baking. It's about me discovering who I am and who I want to be." As she unfolded her story, revealing her fears of failure, her doubts about abandoning tradition for her passion, and her determination to carve her own identity, the room grew silent. Their supportive gazes encouraged her to continue. "I know pursuing this dream can feel like I'm distancing myself from our family, but that's not what I want. I just need your understanding as I navigate both worlds." A charged silence enveloped the room. Once again, she felt like she was balancing on a tightrope, vulnerable yet determined. Would her honesty be met with acceptance or criticism? Then Lily broke the silence, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "We're here for you, Sarah. We may not understand everything about your dream, but we want to support you as you explore this path. Just don't forget us along the way." In that pivotal moment, Sarah understood she had stepped into uncharted territory, not just in pursuing her bakery dream, but in redefining her relationships with those she cherished. The impending transition loomed before her, stirring feelings far beyond the boundaries of baking. The stirring depth of revelation filled the space, mingling with the leftovers of buttercream and homemade love. As she embraced her family's support, Sarah also felt the impending shift of expectations and the associated challenges. What did this newfound dynamic mean for her life? Would she balance her rising aspirations with the emotional ties she held dear? Answering those questions would require introspection and courage, but now she stood at the threshold of duality, where family and ambition intersected, set to embark on a journey of unexpected revelations. She felt the urge to dive into the complexities of her evolving identity, and amidst this profound change, she would discover far more than just recipes. With each decision now imbued with deeper personal significance, Sarah understood this was only the beginning. The balancing act was far from over, and the real challenge lay ahead.
All of this brought her back to one undeniable truth. With every choice came the risk of losing something, or someone, forever. In the shadows, questions still loomed, waiting for their moment to surface as she ventured toward uncharted territory. Would her family's acceptance remain steadfast as she continued to chase her dreams, or would the very passions that ignited her also ignite conflict? The answers felt like an impending storm that approached from the horizon, waiting to crash into her serene world. Would she weather that storm, or would she find herself swept away? As dawn broke over Sarah's kitchen, a renewed resolve coursed through her. The tasting night had unveiled a tapestry of support woven with love and vulnerability. Yet beneath the warm glow of acceptance lay an undertone of tension. Could she sustain this momentum without sacrificing her family connection or her own aspirations? Determined to forge ahead, Sarah carved out time each day to balance baking and bonding. She and Alex transformed their kitchen into a creative sanctuary. Together, they stirred batters and crafted recipes, laughter punctuating the air with each epic coaching moment. The bond solidified, but shadows of doubt continued to lurk. Was this newfound joy fleeting, poised to be upended by the demands of business? As Sarah delved deeper into operational planning, mentorship calls became routine. Her bakery mentor guided her through market differentiation and branding, each conversation a stepping stone toward a brighter future. But with every insight and strategy crafted, the pressure to perform loomed larger. Would her vision resonate with the community when the time came to open the bakery doors, or was she setting herself up for inevitable failure? The stakes escalated when news broke of an upcoming local business fair, a golden opportunity to showcase her baked treasures. It would serve as a platform to test community interest, but the thought of crashing under expectation sent anxiety rippling through her. The necessity to juggle family support, prepare her stall, and manage her nerves struck her as an overwhelming endeavor. As Bays drew closer, the strain intensified. Despite Alex's encouraging words and her family's presence buoying her spirits, a pivotal realization washed over Sarah. She was standing at another crossroads, where ambition and familial duty collided once more. On the eve of the business fair, Sarah found herself staring into the mirror. Anxiety echoed in her reflection. Doubt crept in. What if things didn't go as planned? What if she disappointed not just herself, but everyone who believed in her? Yet, amid that tempest of uncertainty, a counterthought surged forward. This was her moment to prove her capabilities, to showcase her passion and creativity.
Tomorrow, I won't just sell baked goods, she resolutely articulated. I will sell the story of my journey, the love crafted into every recipe.
She passed out settings of ingredients and equipment, each tool reflecting years of effort, sacrifice, and growth. She realized her objective was beyond delicious treats. It was about forging connections, about resurrecting her family's legacy with every sprinkle and drizzle. Morning dawned crisp and bright, the business fair a buzz of excitement. Sarah set up her stall, arranging pastries and cakes with a precise touch. As she stepped back, a nervous flutter took hold. Could she truly convey the essence of who she was through these offerings? The opening bell rang, and customers flowed to her stall, curiosity glinting in their eyes. Sarah greeted each patron with warmth, sharing snippets of her family's story, piecing together connections that spanned decades. With each joyful reaction to her creations, confidence blossomed. She engaged with customers who reminisced about the beloved bakery that once graced the town, their recognition igniting a fire inside her. As the day wore on and sales mounted, a profound realization settled in her heart. This wasn't merely about achieving entrepreneurial success, it was about belonging. She shared not just her baked goods, but a part of herself, entwining her dreams with the community's history. Then, amid the rush, Sarah saw her family, Alex, her parents, and Lily, huddled nearby, watching her with pride. Their beaming faces fueled her spirit, lending her the courage to forge ahead through the uncertainty. They were all together in this. Dismissing the boundaries of her roles as a mother and baker, she found herself becoming Sarah, the baker, the mother, the daughter, all harmoniously woven into a single narrative. That evening, when the fair wound down, Sarah's heart swelled with pride, not just for the sales figures, but as a reflection of her transformative journey. Conversations with customers and the shared delight with her family marked a significant turning point. It was a testament to her growth and adaptation, the blending of familial obligation and personal ambition. What remained now was the next step, opening her bakery. Although challenges lingered, the path ahead felt clearer. She was ready to confront whatever doubts lay ahead, her heart firmly rooted in the belief that she could pursue her dreams without forsaking her loved ones. As she returned home, laden with the day's experiences, she took stock of her journey. She had proven to herself, both in the kitchen and at the fair, that she was capable of achieving her dreams. Reconciling passion with duty was hard, but it was possible. Standing before her family, Sarah embraced them, an overwhelming wave of gratitude coursing through her. She realized this journey was more than just lifting the weight of legacy. It was about constructing bridges that could carry her ambitions forward without leaving behind the music of familial connection. The lessons learned were now cemented into her identity.
With renewed confidence and a grounded purpose, she was ready for whatever lay ahead. The storm that once threatened had transformed into a nurturing breeze, guiding her towards uncharted territories, each gust invigorating her spirit further. Finally, Sarah had embraced the paradox of her existence, that ambition and love could coalesce rather than clash. As she closed her eyes, surrendering to the promise of a new dawn, she felt exhilaration coursing through her veins. She was not simply a hopeful baker. She was a force of transformation. This was her story, a testimony of resilience, ambition, passion, and love. Now, the world awaited. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every interaction makes a difference. Comment with your reactions and theories about this ending. Your thoughts matter. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to spread this journey of triumphs.